Hi, I'm Julia Royston of BK Royston Publishing, Julia Royston Enterprises, and the Book Business Bosses. Well, we are now on number 30. Oh my goodness. 30 ways to be a book business boss of the ultimately 100 ways to be a book business boss. I'm ecstatic, overjoyed, overwhelmed, overcome. Oh my goodness. So the first 30 ways, we talked a couple of times about the book itself, but primarily we were talking about you. How do you become a book business boss? The things that you need really internally, even more than the book. The book is important. I love the book, everything about the book, everything about the creative process. I've been in business nearly 10 years. I've been a librarian for 30. I've been a lover of books all my life. My mother said I read when I should have been outside playing, but no, a book was much better. So books have really just been a part of my entire life. So number 30, and then we're going to get totally switch gears into something totally different with tools and resources for the next at least 20 items. But number 30 is something that really has kind of resonated with me. Number 29 was talking about what kind of leader you are. And number 30 asks, what kind of follower are you? And I know that's like a touch, like, ow, she almost, ugh. But what kind of follower are you? How well do you follow? How well do you follow instructions? You know, I tease my students all the time that if I had $1 million to give them, most of them would not even get close to it because they wouldn't follow instructions. And they wouldn't do what I said first and then second and carry out the steps in the order. Or even open your ears and listen and pay attention to what I was trying to sell you. So as a follower, you're watching very closely. I'm one of those people that over time, if I wanted to be in some type of position, especially with church, I always watched those people who were in charge. So when I wanted to learn how to direct, I thought, oh, that's neat. I watched directors. I watched choir directors. And I directed choirs for many, many years. And then when I wanted to do anything in regards to organizational leadership or being a coordinator of conferences, I was always involved. I always was intimately involved, helped them, assist them. Didn't try to take over yet, but watched them very closely, did what I could, learned everything I could, that when I was in charge, I knew how to do it the best of my ability because I learned from the best. I watched the best. I might not have been the best, but I had at least learned from the best. I didn't try to take over. They were always in charge, but you know, I know how to be a follower because it's so important. Have you ever seen someone in the number 2 slot, but when they get the opportunity to be in number 1, it's a mess. I'll just be politically correct and say it's a mess. Because just because they were a hard worker in the number 2, the vice president, the assistant, whatever position, does not necessarily qualify you to be number 1. So how well do you follow? You know, if it's not your way, will you participate? Will you do it at all? If it's not, if your name is not big on the bill, are you going to come? Are you going to support somebody else? Even if you can't come, will you buy a $10 ticket? Will you, you know, because that makes a difference. When it's time for people to support you, then you want everybody to stop. But when it's time for you to support somebody else, will you do it? Will you help somebody else? You know, that always makes a difference. So being a good follower to me is even better than being, makes you, to me, a great leader. And everyone who is a good follower, number 2 person, is not always the best leader. So, you know, in the Bible, you know, you've always seen people who were not number 1. David was number 9, number 8. He wasn't even, you know, called to the party at all. He wasn't even considered, and he was chosen. So God's leadership and what we think is a great leader, it's not the same thing. So make a good follower. Make someone who can follow instructions. Now, I'm not talking about be a good follower, just be a yes ma'am or a yes sir and a yes ma'am and not have a thought in your head. That's not what I'm talking about. When I talk about being a good follower, that means somebody who is prepared, somebody who's ready to pick up, and old folks who say, put your shoulder to the wheel. When it's time for you to be ready, you're ready. You're a part of the team. You're following the leader and a part of the team. When it's time to play your role, you're ready with your role. You practiced. You're prepared. You're not fumbling around trying to find the pieces of paper, which, sometimes happens, but it shouldn't all the time. You should be ready. You should be thinking ahead of time. You should be knowing what your part to play is. You may be a follow to the ultimate leader, but you're leading in your area. To me, be a good follower is somebody who's ready with their job. It's like being, you're leading in your department. You might consider yourself, oh, I'm not the ultimate leader. They're the ultimate leader. Yeah, but you're leading in your area. So how good a follower are you? How good a leader are you in the following position? How good a leader are you in the number 2 slot? Are you always being the backstabber of the number 1 slot, hoping to get your shot, but not even really ready for your shot? Not even ready. What does that have to do with books, Julia? I can't believe it. Everything. Being able to hold up your end. Being able to be prepared with your book. Being able to have their book prepared when it's ready. Being able to, if you're at an event and there's 25 authors, being able to adequately say what your book is about. If somebody asks you for, okay, would you be interviewed on this event? You'll do it. You'll be ready. You'll be prepared. Being able to follow instructions. If they said a bio and a media kit and a 1 sheet, do you have it? Will you be ready for it? Can you follow? Can you follow instruction? Can you keep up? And believe you me, some of the social media sites will put you in, timeout because you didn't follow instructions. So it has multiple meanings, but being a good follower, not only just being able to follow a leader, but being able to follow instructions is so critical and so important. Being able to make that happen. So I'm Julia Royston at BK Royston Publishing, Julia Royston Enterprises, and now the Book Business Bosses, helping you get your message to the masses, turn your words into wealth, be a book business boss. Have a great day. Bye-bye.